Hello, this is Nicole with No, It's Crochet and another Crochet Swatch Saturday. Today we are going to be working up the Loops and Threads Skyscape. Skyscape. So let's go ahead and dive in and talk all about this very soft, very interesting yarn. All right, are you ready? Let's flip it over. Okay, so today we're looking at this Skyscape, which is an acrylic blend by Loops and Threads. It is 262 yards with 100 grams or 3.5 ounces. It is a medium 4 weight, 78% acrylic and 22% nylon. Yes, sure, you can see that. And let's go ahead and pull some of this out, see how lucky we get with the frog. Oh, was that? Oh, that couldn't be that easy, could it? Oh, it was. It was very pleasant overall. Not too much of a challenge, just a tiny little baby there. Now, on first impression, this is a very fuzzy kind of yarn. I mean, you can see here the fuzz that's kind of coming off on this. And that, I mean, obviously this is something that would be for very specific projects that you want to have a nice kind of fuzzy yarn. Not all of the projects are going to lend themselves to that kind of yarn, for sure. But because it is super fuzzy, it definitely has that squishy, soft, oh so good kind of feel. And the colors in this, I mean, I'm interested to see. I don't know how much we'll get on our swatch to see what that works up like. But I am really interested to see how this works up and how much of a color change we get overall. Now, I have to apologize if my voice sounds a little rough and raspy today. I am actually getting a little bit sick, and I've been fighting it off and on, and it's just keeping hanging on just a little bit. It's not like a full-fledged anything, but just a little bit of a cold. So I apologize if I'm a little scratchier than I normally would be, and you probably don't notice it at all. So we're going to move along. Okay, this is Loops and Threads yarn, which means it is a brand that is offered by Michaels. So you can get this at Michaels stores, you can get it at michaels.com, and I think you might even be able to get some Loops and Threads on Amazon, but don't quote me on that. And again, it is a 78% acrylic and 22% nylon. We're talking a weight for medium weight. And oops, I got it snagged in the early part there. And we got a good amount on this. It's a pretty decent size skein overall. Not the chunkiest, not the fattest, but definitely not on the smaller side. I am using one of my favorite Clover Amour 4.5 millimeter hooks for this swatch. That's what is called for on the project, on the label there. And let's see, what else can we talk about? This is a hand wash only yarn. So, you know, I'm never a big fan of hand wash onlys, although to be honest, most of the things that I make these days, I hand wash anyway, just because it's easier to try and keep track of, you know what, rather than trying to know, hey, this yarn I can, or this top I can wash, this one I can't, it's just easier to hand wash everything. But if you're looking for something that is going to be machine washable, that's definitely going to take a point or two off for this particular yarn. Now, with a fuzzy yarn, sometimes you get some splittiness, or it's not that easy to work with. This I'm not finding challenging at all on the single crochet. And you can kind of see the grades of pinks and grays in there, which are working up really nice. And I don't know why my focus on this is not working today. So I'll have to post zoom in for you to make sure you can see that. But there are some definite pinks, or it's almost a red. It's a very deep pink to a red kind of tone, and then it's got the grays in there as well. Now this is a fairly limited. I am going to start rating color availability on a specific scale. If there's less than 20 colors available, it's going to get a lower grade than if there are more than like 50 colors available, because clearly there are some yarns out there that have over 100 different colors. Now it's very rare for the variegateds or anything that has multiple colors, so we might have to do it to where, you know, if it's a multicolor skein, it has a one rating system that's like, okay, maybe, you know, under 5 colors it's going to get 1, and then over 5 colors or over 10 colors it might get a different grade. But if it's a solid color, then it should be able to have a lot more color options available. I think I'll do it that way. So I will share in the final recap what that kind of looks like. This yarn, where was this made? Oh, I never told you the colorway on this is navy and silver multi. So they come in kind of unique names. They're not that fancy, but I'm not seeing a country of origin here. Made in China. Okay, so that's kind of a bad deal that it's made in China, only because, as we know, China has the highest tariffs. So that might increase the price as we continue on the tariff journey, but that is the way it goes. I find that many of the acrylics are made in China. That seems to be the main hub for acrylic yarn. This was really easy to get started. I think it got tangled in there, right about there. So let's see if we can do a little surgery on this bad boy. Okay. Get it unstuck without giving major birth. Sometimes, I mean, like, you probably don't care to see all this, but I actually find this part to be the most comical of the videos as I watch them back, is me struggling to not give major, yes, yarn barf. And this yarn, because it's so fuzzy, it does tend to get snaggy in there quite a bit. It might have been better if I had gone from the outside in, and I might do that on the double crochet. Swatch. All right, so let's just finish up this row because I'm almost done with it anyway. I'm almost done. I know these are not the most scientific structured, but I kind of look at those as being a little bit boring when I see them like that. So, okay. Let's trim you off right there so we can do a little washing on this. This, I gotta tell you, like for a hat or a scarf that you want that's gonna be really, really soft and cozy, that you won't have to wash on a regular basis, this is going to be spot on. This is so, so soft. I mean, this is heavenly kind of soft. So it's definitely something that would be really perfect for that. When I wash it, I'm going to test a little bit to see if it pills up. But that is a good start. Drapey, I mean, for a worsted weight, it's about average. I don't see a ton of drape in this, and it's not the worst either, so it's not totally curly. All right, should we go? I think we are going to try and do a little finagling. We will leave our sleeve up here and maybe work from the outside, because Yarn Baby decided to have some fun there. I don't normally like to work from the outside, especially on these swatches, simply because I kind of like to keep the aesthetic going, but you know, you can't always control things, so we gotta go with it, right? I mean, yeah, it is what it is. Okay, double crochet. Let's see. I mean, this is a really fun, pretty, fuzzy yarn. It would be a great, great winter yarn for sure, for mittens and scarves and, you know, even, I mean, you know, I don't think I would make a blanket out of this, just my personal opinion, because anything I'm going to have to wash, I'm afraid this is not going to wash up really pretty, but we'll see. We'll see when we get there. I have been surprised by things in the past, so I don't know. Let's go here. Yeah. The stitch definition on this is definitely not great, and I would not expect it to be. I mean, it's a fuzzy yarn. The stitch definition on fuzzy yarns is always going to, but you're not buying a fuzzy yarn for the stitch definition. You're actually a lot of times going to be buying it for the lack of stitch definition. So in that regard, you can almost say, you know, how does it work for that lack of, because that's what you would be buying it for, because you almost want those stitches to blend together and disappear. Now, I would not say that the stitches disappear in this. They're still there. They're just definitely not as clear as what you would get on something that is less fuzzy overall. I really think this is a beautiful colorway. I don't know, I think I'm gonna be bummed that it's not something that I could use for like a sweater. Again, we'll see, but I'm just not getting sweater vibes on this, even though I think it would be a really fun, fuzzy sweater. I would think that I would put the time and effort into it, and after a few wears, it just wouldn't wear that well. Have you used this yarn? As always, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get your opinion on it, what your experience has been like using this yarn. Let's make that community section something that we can really lean on each other for ideas and thoughts and suggestions on some of these different crochet yarns and how they work up. I'm having a lot of fun doing these Swatch Saturdays. I hope that you are enjoying as much as I am all of the reviews, and I've been getting some good feedback both on YouTube in the community and on the groups that I'm sharing these videos on. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And you know, as they always say, as us YouTubers have a tendency to say, make sure you like and subscribe, because that's how YouTube knows that we're doing a good job and providing you content that you are interested in. All right, we got one more row on this double crochet, and then we get to see how this baby frogs. What do you think? Are you betting that it's going to be easy, or a little bit hard, or next to impossible? I know if you work with mohairs, which can be a very fuzzy yarn, sometimes that can be really, really challenging. So I'm kind of basing it on that, but also the fact that I've gotten no splittiness in the stitches. I just happened to catch a little bit of it on a tiny little hangnail that I have there. So it doesn't split when you're working with it at all, but it's definitely going to catch on things here and there. So that's definitely kind of a post production issue that you might want to be aware of for sure. So let's see, we've got a few more stitches here as we go. And we are almost done. I can see between the single crochet and the double crochet, I can see a little bit of the color transition coming in there. Not a huge amount, but just a little bit. So these are longer color transitions, which is something I generally tend to prefer, so I probably buy more of those. But here we can see the double crochet and the lovely way those colors come in. And here is the single crochet laid on top of it, so you can kind of see the darker streak here, and then it gets a little bit on the lighter side before the pink, more pink and bright kind of comes in. So let's take a pause right here. We're gonna go wash this bad boy up and see how it works out when we wash it, to see if it gets all fuzzy and icky. All right, stay tuned. All right, we are back, and I forgot to do the frog test when we were doing that. So I did a little bit here. It definitely frogs pretty easily, although I am feeling a little tug and pull and seeing where it's catching here and there. So it's not the worst thing in the world for sure, but it's also definitely not the smoothest. And if you're one that does a lot of frogging, that definitely might be of concern. Now, as I swatch this back up, I want to say I do have the color test, and I'm gonna have to stop calling it the color fast test because most of these yarns just don't bleed, this one included. There was absolutely no coloring in the water whatsoever. I honestly did not expect there to be. Most of the acrylic yarns seem to really hold their color very, very well, so it is not a worry at all. And here is our swatch. Now I know it looks a lot lighter, but that's just because of where it got pulled from the skein. That is not a fading effect, I promise. What I also did is a little bit of a friction test. And by friction test, what I do is I kind of fold it in half and I rub it, because I want it to sort of emulate what it would be like if you're wearing a sweater and your arms are kind of rubbing against each other. And I have to say, I am actually really, really shocked. I expected this to pill quite a bit, and while the fibers got a little bit more matted, I see no pilling at all. So I'm actually really impressed. The friction test did really, really well. All right, let's flip it over and I'll give you my final rating. Okay, so I worked up the rating and I have that over here. I'm gonna kind of peek back and forth, and hopefully you're just ignoring the back of my room because I'm just not cleaning up for these videos, and that's totally okay because I really want to bring them to you. My first comment, my big suggestion is you're gonna want to do an outside pull on this. This inside, it just has a tendency to you can kind of see as I pull it, maybe the fibers get kind of clingy to each other. And so if you're doing an inside pull, that ends up resulting in a little bit too much of it snagging. So I'm going to stuff that back in there. I'm going to try and put the sleeve back on as we talk about these. Okay, fiber content, 78% acrylic, 22% nylon. That is quite an interesting combination. It's not one that I see very often. I'm not sure what, oh, I'm definitely not getting the sleeve back on here. I'm not sure what part of it is the nylon, but it certainly makes, at least how it is worked up, makes for, oh look, I got it. Makes for a really soft yarn overall. So even though it is an acrylic, it does not give you that itchy, scratchy acrylic vibe whatsoever. So, but it's still acrylic, which means there's still some heat. Like, it just retains that heat, and it's a little bit too warm for my taste overall. So I'm still going to give that a 7 out of 10. I mean, acrylic just automatically gets a couple of points off in my book. If you're a lover of acrylic, maybe you don't have to take off quite as much. But that's my vote. It's my review. I get to do it. All right. Next up, color range. Now, I said earlier that I was going to alter a little bit how the color range works. And for yarns that have multicolors like this, I'm not going to penalize it if it doesn't have 100 different colors. And in this case, there are 12 colors, so I am giving that an 8 out of 10. I think that's a really good selection. 8 out of 10. There's quite a good variety. They're not, like I've seen sometimes when you have the variety of colors, they're all sort of the same, but this is not the case. They're all very unique. Frogability. It was definitely doable, but I did feel some snagging where those fibers kind of almost start, it's almost like the little hairs get teeth and they're like, no, I'm not going to let you go, and they just want to hang on. So it's not that it's snagged or that it's split and that's the issue, it's just that they're kind of almost hanging on for dear life. So for the Frogability, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I didn't get stuck on it. I just felt like there might be an issue if I had to frog too much. Splitting. Again, I didn't have any splitting whatsoever. It did catch periodically on some of my hangnails because I'm not the best manicurist. I'll own that. But I'm only going to take a point off for that because there is the potential there. But yeah, it's fine. 9 out of 10. Stitch definition, I had a really hard time on that one because it's not supposed to have great stitch definition. It's a fuzzy yarn. I mean, we want the stitches to almost become invisible. So for that reason, I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. It's not what, I mean, if you want them to be invisible, they're not entirely invisible, but if you want to be able to see them, well, you can't really see them that great. So we're going to give it a 9 out of 10. Feel. Yeah, I mean, you don't get a nicer, more cozy kind of yarn. This is definitely, if you're a tactile person, the kind of yarn that you're going to want to pet. So it is definitely great for that just warm, cozy kind of snuggly feel. And so that one definitely got a 10 out of 10. Drape. The drapiness, it is a worsted weight, so I don't expect the drapiness to be phenomenal by any means, and I kind of judge weight by weight, and so this is very average. Not anything to write home about, and nothing to be disappointed about, so we're giving that an 8 out of 10. Washability, I gotta tell you, I am really shocked. It washed up really well, even though it's a hand wash only. I did not wash it in the washer or anything, just in a bucket of soap, and dried it with a towel, kind of sucking out all the moisture. And I mean, literally it's totally fine. I mean, obviously I did the friction test on it, and that kind of fuzzed it up a little bit, but not as much as I would expect. So this washes up. I would actually make a cardigan out of this and be totally fine washing it periodically. So yeah, no concerns there. I'm giving that an 8 out of 10. Only because I would prefer it to be something that I can wash in the washer. Warnings and concerns. The fact that I can't do a pull from the inside is a little bit concerning to me. That's how I prefer to use my yarn. So I would have to either cake this up and use it as an outside pull, or, you know, kind of adjust my normal methods. So, you know, if you already do outside pull, then it's totally fine for you, but want to bring that up anyway. And then, of course, the friction test, it's okay. It surprised me. I expected it to be a lot worse than that. There is some kind of fuzziness and softening of the stitch definition on that friction test, but it's not the end of the world. So we're going to give the warnings a 7 out of 10. Price. It's not too bad. It's normally $8.99 a skein, and for this amount and the colorways and everything like that, I think that's a pretty reasonable price. So we're going to give that an 8 out of 10. So, the final verdict is 8.3 out of 10, which really surprises me. I did not expect this yarn to do that well. I definitely think I might have to buy some more of this and do a nice cozy cardigan that I can wear around the house, even though my husband likes to keep the house at an obscenely warm temperature during the winter months and an obscenely warm temperature during the summer months. Is it, if they like warm, is it a warm-blooded? I don't know. Anyway, he's whatever that blood is that they like warm environments. So yeah, he prefers to wear shorts and all year round. And so maybe that's why we still live in Arizona. I don't know. Anyway, I think this is really pretty. I think I might have to make a nice cozy cardigan with this, and because I can't wear hats and scarves. It's too warm for those. And it would have to be a really holey cardigan, so it still breathes. But yeah, I think it's great. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and we'll move on to the next Crochet Swatch Saturday. Hey Farrah, frog us out of here.